Greetings, I am Lies and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together!
Yeah!
Alrighty, welcome back. We are in the middle of courting our bee husband and trying to get to know him. And we are still super excited to get through this playthrough and also then play another game for you.
Called Pyreside Waltz because yes, this is just a hype playthrough of having fun. We're really excited to play the demo for Pyreside Waltz.
Oh my god, we are so excited.
Oh, here we go.
So
Okay.
much.
Well, that's not to say you're wrong to be frustrated or feel annoyed. I think that's perfectly justified. I've never been in your position, not even close to anything like it, so I can't pretend to understand how you feel. But I just meant, I doubt those people are even thinking very hard about what they're saying, or they wouldn't be spreading such ridiculous rumors. I don't think they mean you any ill, especially if they're still at your store considering buying things from you. So they're just saying empty things. So if they're just saying empty things, then it's not even worth the effort of worrying about them. It's sort of beneath you, in a way.
He's so tall, most things are beneath him. Oh.
True, accurate.
Vil?
Oh, right. Vil? I must have been a little flustered, because those words spilled out before I could stop them. Nyargh's interruption is gentle, but firm, and it halts me in my tracks.
I understand what you mean. Thank you. I appreciate that it didn't come out as explicit in your first statement, but it got you. It's okay. It's alright.
It must show in my face that I'm not entirely sure if those thanks are warranted, because he continues patiently.
I think you're correct on all fronts. I do feel frustrated about those people. I do get annoyed at them. But I also know it wouldn't be right to condemn them for something that ultimately doesn't affect me very much. I don't know if their circumstances...
I don't know
their circumstances.
Of their circumstances, yeah.
After all, who knows? Maybe those people have been hurt in the past by something or the other.
It would be insensitive of me to assume that they have cruel intentions
when they're only being wary. Or, in the case of, real-world social justice warriors and people who spread concerning rumors, it can really be a sense of fear and discomfort of going, I'm trying to keep people safe by talking about this thing, even though I know very little about it.
Yeah.
It's this sort of urge to help people, even if it's not in a constructive way.
And the thing is sometimes your help does nothing but hurt that person. They go, no, but you don't understand. You're the dangerous thing here. You're the one that's disrupting our society, that's threatening to eat everyone, whatever it is.
Or again, I've heard bad things about this person, and since I am afraid of stuff and the world and things, I really think that other people should know that there might be bad things about this person so they can know where to be cautious.
Yep,
That's really important.
I'm being a good neighbor.
Yes.
Which actually
like a good neighbor, Nyargh is there. Sorry.
Except that I would also say at the same time, it actually doesn't foster community. It actually is very much then you have basically a society full of individuals. So this is very much what I would call an individualistic, basically, sort of viewpoint on the world, of where it's basically us versus them.
And again,
instead of a community-oriented space.
I would put out a very strong, this is people who are not being helpful, but who are feeling like they are trying to be helpful. They have very little information, they are usually entrenched in their privilege, much like we discussed with Vil in the last one, and going, but if I share the information, maybe people will be safer. And having nothing other than, again, just worry and discomfort in their lives. So they're just very much just sort of acting out in anxiety about anything that makes them nervous.
And it's also, I think, that thing where it is very much, again, going, but I have to be a good person. Like, you have to realize also part of it is going, well, the good people do this, well, the good people do that. They warn people. They don't talk to the person. They don't engage with the parts of it and then become educated. They just go, I just need to warn you about the thing because that's being good.
Well, and again, it doesn't involve any further research or knowledge, because who knows if I have the skills or ability to even get any of that, but I do know this might be dangerous, so I'll tell you that.
And the thing is they usually don't put it as might be. They just go, it is dangerous.
Well,
they are so frightened. Like, I've seen people, really...
The way it was said here is, I've heard these things, not he, is dangerous. And that's when I say they warn you someone might be dangerous, because they're going, he might run you over with a car.
No, I know that. But, no, what I was getting into was that, have you ever run into a situation, even here, where they're going like, no, well, it might be. Well, I'm just warning you. And you're like, the real intent here is to actually make you nervous, make you paranoid, make you whatever, instead of going, that's an interesting thought. I should go do more research and say, I'm going to try to instill in you some sort of panic and paranoia. So you don't really, it's not constructive in any way. It's just I'm fear-mongering.
I mean,
it could be bad.
The whole time.
Yeah.
It's not constructive or coming from a good place.
Exactly.
Yes.
When they're being wary. I nod. It's very much like Nyargh to consider the matter so calmly and maturely. I
dislike people who are quick to judge others, you see. And it puts me at ease to see there are people like you who try to see things from multiple perspectives. So thank you.
Nyargh's overt praise is enough to make me feel a little embarrassed, and I can feel a faint heat rising in my cheeks, even as I shake my head. I didn't really say or do anything special, but as long as you feel better, I'm glad. For what it's worth, I don't think you would ever do anything to hurt people, so I would never pay attention to those sorts of rumors. I believe in you. And the thing is I will do my job also to stop the rumors. When they are in range. So this is one of those things where it's different between being a nice guy and being a nice guy. Is that you're going, you should use your privilege, and if somebody's saying shit comments, you go, we don't do that here, or that's not correct, stop saying that, or whatever it is.
So there's this guy, so I have a pretty hostile working environment at the moment. It's not my favorite, the team that I'm in, right? But it's also not terrible because largely I get to be away from people.
Right.
But the thing is there's what is referred to as the boys club at work, where you have a few guys who are all kind of just toxic and aggressive around each other, and really just kind of act like everyone else is being, pardon the language, a piss baby if they're not into the same thing.
Right.
And they're, and they disapprove or feel uncomfortable in any way. And there's this other person, and he is very much more like, I am friendly, and I will be, openly progressive and talk about, inclusive political beliefs and social ideas and things. But, and also, tends to be friendly and uplifting to his fellow employees. But when the other guys are around, he's 100% part of the boys club as far as he never stops them, he never talks back, he laughs at their jokes, he never intervenes when someone he's told is, a good, co-worker and they're shitting on them is, happening. So he's not actually helping the problem by going, no, I'm not like them in his behavior when they're not around, because he doesn't defend anyone when they are. So that.
Yeah.
And while Vil is still clearly learning about Nyargh and doesn't need to go out campaigning for, his basically social platform in any way, there is that level of going, once I know him better, if I hear this again, or if I'm in the presence because I know more about the problem, I could just be like, hey, don't say mean things.
Yeah, right?
Just to people when they're doing it. Just do a little bit to push back against the bullying and assert that some people have different opinions.
I believe in you. Several of Nyargh's mouths widen into toothy grins.
I love when he smiles.
And before I can react, he reaches out with a pair of tendrils, winding them around me. Their grips are warm and gentle, firm without being rough, molding perfectly around my shoulders as he gives me a hug.
Thanks, Phil. I find that very fascinating because, in your standard, body build of, trunk and limbs of, your sort of humanoid kind of thing, there is this experience of your whole body has to come together. But he just reaches out and gives a hug just with arms. And it's really neat, but it's like a different piece of social interaction. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I like it when people use different bodies in different ways instead of modeling them into human behavioral shapes.
Yes, exactly.
I truly appreciate it.
The tentacles squeeze once more, pulsing against my arms before withdrawing. I'm not sure I've ever seen Nyargh make such an affectionate gesture before, and it feels all the more special. Perhaps because it was such a rare moment, Nyargh looks somewhat embarrassed, clearing his throat, several of them, as he withdraws his tentacles.
But Vil, as much as I appreciate your trust, I can't pretend to be totally innocent.
Huh? For one moment, I wonder if the rumors are true. Nyargh, perhaps sensing my hesitation, shakes his head.
The rumors aren't true, of course. But I do have an idea of where they originated. Gossip usually doesn't spring out of thin air, after all.
It's somewhat of a shock to hear. Actually, a lot of gossip is completely just that.
I would say, the thing
bullshit.
is, it has no grounding in the reality, but it often is sparked by a piece of reality. And so the thing is it can be, I saw them walking into a dark room, and to me that means something because of associations that I have, and I'm going to form a belief system around it, and then talk to someone about it, and they're going to extrapolate further based on theirs.
Yeah.
In the same way, I saw Nyargh pick up a bee through the curtain in the window and walk away with it. Oh God, why is he doing with that bee? He must be really weird. Maybe he eats bees.
I'm used to seeing people who wear hoodies who are bad people, so therefore I assume an individual who puts on a hoodie is going to go do something naughty.
If you wear a hoodie and a mask and sunglasses, you're the Unabomber, not trying to social distance and it's bright outside but cold.
Yeah, exactly.
It's those kind of things. So they're not grounded in truth, but they are grounded in a trigger, in something that sparks the idea. They don't come out of nothing.
Yes. It's somewhat of a shock to hear. Ask what happened, remain silent, or lighten the mood. Honestly, I think Vil is kind of like, sort of a little surprised, and Nyargh usually like, I can't remember this thing, and then it's like, it seems like he's going to continue speaking.
Yeah, I feel very solidly between ask what happened and remain silent, but remain silent of going, I am shocked, so I just kind of wait to see if there's more and if he wants to volunteer anything. As opposed to going, okay.
Because sometimes, actually, so some people have said that sometimes giving an individual that you're speaking with time to respond, because a lot of people are used to conversation, they will actually answer a lot more for you if you don't say anything, because they'll go, oh God, I have to fill in the air. Is this awkward? What am I doing?
So there's this really...
You'll be surprised how many other people also have anxiety.
I would say also, it's something that's been demonstrated actually in a good number of movies, and it's a really interesting thing I noticed around characters that either don't talk much or don't talk at all, where other people will fill in the space around them. And it's in movies because it happens in real life. And I've seen it where, the quiet, either stoic or distant, person, or the cute quiet one, because they're freaking shy, people just talk to and talk to and talk to because they're trying to create the cadence in conversation if they're in a contained environment, such as a job or a school.
There's also that thing, too, is that especially people where they go, I'm here at a social event, we're supposed to be talking. Some people actually try to convince, basically, other people to start talking, or they'll start mirroring, basically, the behavior of the other person around them because they go, oh, I'm comfortable with you. So it's actually, you can see a mirroring behavior, particularly in, children, because they're learning from the people they trust the most, or the ones that will protect them, defend them, whatever. And then you'll also see that in, couples. Well, you'll watch them, sometimes they'll mirror each other's body language, they'll mirror clothing, they'll have similar language. Like, my friend and I actually used to get it all the fucking time at work, where they'd be like, are you guys siblings?
And we're like, we're
really
friends?
good
Friends. Oh my God.
And people just could not handle how well basically we either got along or what we would talk about.
Also, the fact that both of us are interested in things that your standard manufacturing populace isn't into, i.e. we were talking in Tumblr speak, as well as, memes,
philosophy,
but also
culture.
A lot of, art culture and the, videos we were watching and games we were playing. And, so it made everyone be like, well, you clearly have something deep going on together because you have a completely different culture than the rest of us. I'm like, dude, you're just not gamers who are also anime weebs who also have gotten into a ridiculous number of, ADHD partial hobbies. That's us.
Yeah, that's pretty much us. Anyway, I think in this case, there's more
remain silent.
Remain silent.
And I was going to say, one of the great ways to get someone who's quiet to talk is to put something friendly out there and then wait.
Yeah.
And if they don't respond, do it again later. And it's a neat thing.
It feels like Nyargh has more to say, so I listen quietly. There's a pregnant pause. Nyargh takes a sip of his tea.
He also may be nervous.
It wasn't anything grand or dramatic.
But you know how rumors can be. People like to gossip, and rumors tend to change as they're passed from person to person. Something small and insignificant can grow rapidly under the right circumstances.
Nyargh gives a small sigh, one of his tentacles rising to knead at a spot of soft flesh between his two mouths.
I trust you're not the type to misunderstand what I'm saying.
I nod quietly.
I am here to understand.
Still, Nyargh hesitates for a moment longer. One of the bees that had been keeping me company seems to be growing bored. As it begins crawling away in search of excitement, Nyargh picks it up in two of his tentacles, stroking its back to calm it down. It responds by giving a long, low drone of contentment, vibrating away in his hands.
You know what I also like?
Huh.
He is making, like, nervous body gestures to indicate that he's uncomfortable, but also he's picking up the bee to comfort him, which is very charming.
Thoughtfully brushing the end of his tentacle against the bee's neck, Nyargh works through his thoughts for a moment longer as I wait patiently. It's rare to see Nyargh open up about himself like this, so it must be something he's deliberated over for a long time. I don't want to rush him.
I dislike the taste of salt.
Oh.
Oh?
My first thought is that it?
Do you find that anticlimactic?
Nyargh's voice is quiet and calm. His hand continues to stroke down the bee's back, as if to keep himself anchored. No, it's not that. I guess I did expect something a little bigger if it was the start of all those rumors about you. After all, the rumors are a little nasty, and your reason seems pretty innocuous. But if I think about it, I guess it makes sense that people might fixate on it. Because we all need salt to live. Without salt, we wouldn't be able to sustain itself. Even sustain life itself.
Yeah, life is missing.
Even the hardiest individuals I know wouldn't be able to last more than 2 weeks without at least a little salt. Whether it's from a block of salt or an indirect source.
Licking the ground. Please, salt!
So for someone to actively dislike salt would be quite strange. Like someone who actively dislikes breathing.
That's quite a weight there, and I appreciate that level of exposition, because a lot of times when you have an element in a foreign world, someplace you've been introduced through a story, they'll give you a bunch of things that are part of the world, but they won't really tell you the weight of them. And you can extrapolate by the fact that, Vil is delivering salt and everyone eats salt, but you also are exposed to other food and things and going, okay, well, people have other options, even if salt is the basic staple. And going...
But you just answered your own question. Basic staple.
But again...
So basic staple food is one of those...
People don't need the staples. They're expected to have them. Someone can live off of cake, but it's not a staple. It's a luxury.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay? And so I appreciate it being made explicit here of going, this is like us drinking water. Or breathing air.
Right. I've always known.
It's a rather unusual trait. Sorry, I was thinking with the other elves. Though there are a few of my kind, mostly my relatives, we've always been careful to keep it discreet. But for all of us, it gets out sooner or later.
He sighs, sounding somewhat exasperated. The bee in his grasp looks up, its buzzing coming to an abrupt stop. Thanks to it, Nyargh realizes he's stopped his petting of the bee, and promptly resumes. Only then the bee settles back down, spoiled and content.
I just imagine these extremely like spoiled
Luxury
lapdogs,
bees, yes.
Sort of handbag bees. They're just like, you will love me, excuse you. And these couple are definitely more spoiled than some of the other ones. But I also imagine sometimes they'll just be sitting there hanging out, and like 5 more bees will walk in from the outside and be like, it's time for you to love me now.
It's my turn now. Trying not to be distracted from the topic on hand, I sit forward. Can I ask how people found out? It would be fairly obvious if anyone were to see me eating. Of course, with Nyargh's many mouths, any sign of a frown or grimace would probably be pretty evident. I actually like that implication, that Vil has actually been observant enough to notice that a lot of the mouths respond basically in tangent. Okay, so interesting behavioral thing you can do with yourself. So take your foot, if you have a functioning foot, and try to bend down one of your middle toes without bending any of the other ones around them. So your 3 middle toes, try bending one of them down without bending.
Your big toe or your little toe?
No. One of your other middle toes.
So you're saying try to bend your middle toes down without bending your middle toes?
Like, pick one of them.
Okay.
And try to bend it down, like you consciously.
Without moving any other
without
toes.
moving
any
of your... Well, no. Without moving, actually, any of the 3 middle toes. Because the thing is, so my dad actually taught me about this, is that your 3 middle toes are basically linked.
Okay.
That there is no way to actually really be able to... Like, I can't do it. Like, so the only thing I can do is they're literally unified.
So they work in a group.
I was thinking going here with Nyargh going like, oh, so basically if you have a reaction over here, it's going to spread to some basically other mouths no matter what you do. It's a thing you have no control of. It's an unconscious basically expression.
See, and I was just thinking, which that's interesting. I hadn't thought about that in a while. I was just thinking that it was like... He's got a bad poker face, and since he has so many expressive features, it's even worse.
I mean, there's always that, but I also just like the idea that him going like, that thing where you don't really think about it also, I'm a separate being. Mm-hmm. You just sort of have things that are all together.
I love very much the idea also of him like picking up a teacup and drinking it with one mouth and the other one's all smiling contentedly.
Well, and they said licking their lips, and one of them looks happy and...
Yep.
Pretty evident.
Which is why I always eat in private, of course. But an impatient customer once barged into the store during my break. I must have forgotten to lock the door. He promptly saw me struggling with my salt and asked if something was wrong. I'm sure he meant well, but I was startled and handled the situation poorly. I said the salt had gone bad, but he took a taste and quickly assessed that the salt was fine. He must have been able to guess that it was a deeper, more fundamental issue that I had with the salt. Rumor of it spread quickly afterwards. I know him. He was not a malicious person, but secrets can rarely remain secrets for long. He must have blurted it out to someone as something interesting he'd recently found out. Or something that just stuck in his mind, or concerned him, or just wouldn't go away.
So here's
here's
a fun thought. This is just me.
Okay.
I've always kind of wondered, actually, if basically in the world of monsters, based on this route, if cannibalism is considered to be highly inappropriate, despite the fact that you have blood salt.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I'm like, you're still eating people, but you're not allowed to eat people. Does that make sense?
Where does that come from in reference to salt?
So, the person going... So, they're saying that he eats people, right? So they've said, Nyargh, he eats people. Okay. And Nyargh is going, I do not eat people.
Right.
And so the extrapolation here is going, well, if you don't like salt, what else do you eat? And if there are fears or there are happenings in monster society that some people can't explain, some people go missing, because they all make crazy decisions or choices, or they do wild things. And this world is wild. Like you learn in some other parts of
it can be quite dangerous.
That there are some
unusual.
Bizarre things in this place.
Also,
but I'm wondering, going, so we're going to basically use Nyargh as our scapegoat, going, are you the monster who's been, quote, eating people? Like if that was the extrapolation that started going around. And also because cannibalism is considered inappropriate, but not punishment salt, which is what I think is an interesting cross. Well, this is fine, but this is not. You know, even though I'm like, for me, I go, but you're still eating someone.
See, and
because it's punishment salt. It's someone's blood,
right? And I don't think most people think of blood consumption as cannibalism. Like I don't think people think of vampires, even ones that used to be human and are now turned to a behavior, are cannibals. I've never heard it described that way. So I think it's largely because we produce more blood all the time, and so you're not diminishing or removing part of their body in a way that continually affects them.
I mean, I've thought about one of the reasons why people thought vampires were gross was because of the basically like you are literally eating some person. You are also a person kind of thing. But that's also my perspective. I just find it to be interesting. Like, it's just a question that I kind of ask going, I wonder, does this mean that you guys actually frown on cannibalism?
I would think yes. I think it does indicate that cannibalism is not normal and not common. Of going, I've heard he eats people. If that's supposed to be inflammatory and sensational, then yeah, that would be something that doesn't happen normally.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, or is that just some monsters find that to be distasteful?
I don't know.
But I don't know. But I was like, social values, I'm trying to eke them out, you know, the social mores. Like, it's just interesting to me.
I can see that.
It recently found out. He sighs again, but this time he remembers to keep petting the bee. It continues to vibrate, perfectly oblivious to its master's exasperations. I, however, can't claim to be so ignorant, and so I deliberate over how to respond. I sympathize with the situation, condemn the person who spread the rumor, propose a solution, or ask how he feels.
I like the last one. I don't remember what we chose before. I think we might have sympathized, I was going to say, but regardless, if Vil sat quiet and let him continue speaking, and Vil's trying not to form more of an uneducated opinion, as they realized originally, going, hey, I've said this thing, and then he comes back with being like, that's extremely level-minded of you, and you're like, okay, well, clearly I don't know enough about this, but what I meant was more in this vein, and then going, I really, and Vil realizing that I really don't have much connection to this at all, I like the idea of just going, so if this is about you, and I have realized I am the ignorant party here, why don't you tell me how it makes you feel?
Right.
So that way Vil is still in a space of trying to be more educated rather than trying to engage and fix again.
So part of this also, I was actually going to even say for people, I really like the also ask how he feels kind of thing. Simply because not only is it going to tell me what your perception is of the situation and how you feel about it, like go into a little bit more like detail. Like he's already said that he was frustrated and, you know, that he's annoyed, obviously, that he's got issues with it. But you really like want to encourage more, one, of the conversation to go on, but two, particularly asking just like, well, is there something I could do to help you?
Right.
Maybe. Basically that question. So me and my friend, and we try to actually share this sort of with other people, and we've talked about this before, is to look at a person when they express like distress or something about a situation. You go, okay, would you like a solution or do you want sympathy?
Right,
or
to find out what the goal of the share is.
Yes.
That's a really big one. So, a lot of people, and a lot of presentations of high-functioning neurodivergence are, I'm going to try and fix things if you put a problem to me. I'm going to be very logical, I'm going to be very direct, and if you go, God, this thing really hurts me, we go, okay, well, what can we do to change it?
Right.
And a lot of more neurotypicals are going to be like, I'm just trying to get it out, or I just want, sympathy or comfort or support.
Right.
I don't actually want to change anything. I'm just trying to vent the emotional space that I'm in and have someone go, yeah, that's valid. And so, establishing what someone has come to you for can be really valuable. And sometimes it can feel a little weird to be like, you just dumped a huge amount of emotional information on me. And I'm going to go, so are you looking for solutions or comfort? But there's ways to approach it once you're familiar with someone. But that is a good place to come from in your head, because I'm a very solution-oriented person. So I don't like pain or difficulty in my life. So when I encounter it, I work really hard to try and find a way
Fix
of,
it,
is this going to happen again?
Yeah.
I'm one of those people, if I meet someone and there's a potential of friendship, it's if they do something real painful at some point, I go, okay, you're asking for forgiveness, I can forgive you, but we need to look for a solution. I am the, I'm sorry, here's how we can fix it kind of person.
Right.
And because I don't want it to happen again. So if it happened on accident, it's not only like, oh, I didn't mean to do that. It's like, okay, so whatever made that happen, let's try and find a way that it won't happen again.
And I was going to say that I would really recommend, if you're going to try that particular system, try to establish it beforehand so that you're not just in the middle of a conversation going, okay, well, do you want a solution or do you just want sympathy?
Yeah, letting people know that you have become aware of this tool, like people that are close to you, and going...
And agreeing with people that going that, okay, if I do this, can I count on you at least for that much awareness that we can work together, and this is not me trying to talk down to you or anything else. This is how my brain works. Like,
or also asking, going, hey, does this system sound like it might work well for you? Especially
right.
if you've had any difficulty in the past where someone who you care about deeply brings you a problem, and it often ends in frustration between you.
I think it's most important to address Nyargh's feelings. Because also, especially if he's quiet, he probably doesn't get them out very often.
Well, and it's his experience at the end of the day.
I can't really imagine it, having such a big rumor start because of a small moment like that. You must have some pretty strong feelings about it. Nyargh hums in thought. Both owner and pet rumble in unison for a long moment before he opens his mouth to speak.
I don't have too many feelings about it anymore.
Really? He nods, his tone of voice candid.
It was
upsetting at the time.
Either I was upset or it was upsetting, yeah.
But
being angry for long periods of time is exhausting. I'm too busy for that. Practical. A man after my own heart.
Not to mention,
I want to forgive him for his mistake. He's a frequent customer and often very generous. Maybe he feels guilty about what he caused. I don't think I'm so flawless that I deserve to begrudge someone for a mistake, so I've moved on.
I also think that's very interesting too, because there's, like, you don't have to begrudge someone. You can actually, though, go to them later and go, hey, this thing, can we talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially, like, it was an awkward situation, and sometimes even you just breaching it. Now, you're not required to, but it can also help sort of understanding be achieved kind of thing.
It also, I say, and sometimes you don't do that, even though it could be valuable, because you don't know where else to go with it.
I know, right?
Sometimes
what
there's
other
a,
actions am I going to take?
What else would I say? Or just
Right.
going, like, and so sometimes I know it would be good to broach something in my real life, but I don't know how to start it, and I don't know where it would go, and so I will often just leave it be. But I do think about it for a good deal of time beforehand, and if I come to a conclusion of, there's nothing I could say that would feel like me solving this situation, you know, who I am as a person, then I tend to just leave it, drop, and deal with my own feelings and not spend too much energy on it.
Right.
But if it's something, that can be addressed and changed, going, hey, I know that event happened and it was awkward for both of us, how are you feeling about it? And I already have some thoughts prepared. Can be really cool. The rumors are annoying, but that's all they are.
Well, we will have to actually see if that is all they are.
In the next one?
Yeah!
Oh my goodness.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. Please feel free to check out Pyreside Waltz, the demo down below in the
description.
In the description.
Yep.
Right? And also, please feel free to go check out the main artist and the main writer for both, just for the Ink Trashing Studio. That's Helen and Miru. There are links to them as well. Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-fi, Patreon, and our Twitch. Please also feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Really, honestly, just sharing the video or just liking the video does a lot for us, in particular in regards to the YouTube algorithm. It just shows that we're active and people like our stuff. It would be great to know what you thought of this.
Additionally, if you're enjoying this playthrough and somehow you got here without knowing who we were, please feel free to check out our other content. We do discourse in almost everything.
Yes, we do.
And we have some really fun series out there if you're interested in seeing more.
And, I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies. And it was great playing with you. Bye!